No witty opener today, just the OG. Okay. This is the test server. It doesn't matter if we open shards or not, nothing happens. It's kind of scary to open shards on the test server because what if you get something good? Does not carry over to your account. Anyway, what's up guys? MtgJedi here, and we are talking arena today. Yesterday, I had the absolute pleasure to compete against some of the best players in the world who actually happen to also be other content creators in this Faction Games Arena Challenge. Now, in case you're not familiar with this or you're just coming in here, we each had a different faction and we were limited to the champions in that faction. For me, I was limited to the High Elves, and man, did that work out super well. I love this team. Absolutely love this team. It was incredible. Absolutely incredible. And so I want to talk about it. I want to talk about the thought process, everybody else's teams. I want to break that down for you guys. And I'm pretty excited to do that, okay? So you can see I had access to the majority of the legendaries. The only valuable one that I didn't have access to was Ethos, but he was banned anyway. And then Royal Guard was banned also. And, you know, none of the rares or uncommons are very useful. Apothecary early game, but not for this end game content here. So let's go over and take a look at my teams in the arena first, because I want to show you some really cool stuff. Okay, so here was the team that I ended up using, okay? Now, I pulled out all the stops here with this team development, okay? My buddy Roz, who has written some Hydra Clan Boss articles on my website, he was helping me behind the scenes, as well as my teammates, Hell Hades and Layla Fox Nation. Shout out to you guys, Team Goat Nation. And they were all helpful in developing this team, setting defenses so I could test them. I put a lot of effort into this. What I said on stream was I used to prep for pro level Magic tournaments. And back in the day, Magic the Gathering, that's the MTG in my name, and that's the level of preparation I put into this event. Even with that being said, I still could not beat Scratch, but we'll get into that in a minute. So this was the team I ended up using for a couple reasons, okay? Obviously, I have access to Arbiter. She's the best speed lead for this contest. And, you know, in general, basically. So I figured that I could have the fastest champion in the competition. Nobody else can have an Arbiter, right? And so that was a huge advantage to me. But at the same time, I know everybody's going to be coming with Stone Skin. And that is definitely an issue. So how do we deal with the Stone Skin? How do we survive after going first? These were the big questions that I had to ask. So the first thing that I decided with this team is that we know that Cold Brew is going to bring Tormund. He was on Dwarves, and we know he's going to bring Tormund. Okay, it's just a fact. There's no way the Dwarves team is not going to include Tormund, right? And so we wanted to block debuffs. Okay, we wanted to block debuffs. In addition, Tatura also hits really hard with this ability here, and he has the perfect veil, so he's going to protect the rest of my team. Both of those were very desirable, and then his passive also is super underrated. He's going to reflect damage. He is going to freeze the targets potentially, okay? And his base stats are really solid. As a defense-based champion, he's got as much HP as HP-based champions, because Plarium, you need to give your HP-based champions more HP. I am tired of these HP based champions having 20k HP or 22k HP even. Like, we need all of these HP based champions to have like 24k as a minimum. Legendaries, of course, I'm talking about. If it was an epic, 20k is fine. But, Trunda as an attack-based nuker has 22k base HP. She is an attack champion, okay? So, you need to give HP to your HP-based champions. I don't understand this. Let's look at Ursuga here. She has a reasonable 23.4k HP. Okay, that's reasonable, right? That's where we should all be at with these HP-based champions. All right, soapbox aside, because there's going to be so many stone skin buffs and lots of other buffs, I want a chance to remove those. And Andrissia has been the gold mine find of this competition for me. She was ridiculous. I can't tell you how many people in Twitch chat, how many people messaged me in Discord saying, holy cow, how good is this chick? Oh, she's got a helmet. I wonder what she would look like with her helmet on. It would mess up her hair. Anyway, that's why she's not wearing it. She has this A3 that is a buff strip, okay? The wording is decrease the duration of all enemy buffs by 2 turns, and it's 100%, okay? This is a buff strip ability and a free-to-play version of Cythalia, another version of Madame Ceres, a free-to-play version of Kymar, okay? Like, this is a very uncommon, sparse ability in the game, and it was so good. So good, okay? I removed stone skin buffs, I removed shield buffs, I removed every kind of buff you can think of, okay? So good. Number 2, on her A2, she has this 100% chance to stun. It's 75% chance if the target does not have any active buffs. 75 chance for 2 turns if the target does have any active buffs. So basically, if you stun them, like, I don't even know, are there any other 2-turn stuns in the game? Are there any 2-turn stuns? This is a 100% chance to stun on a 1 or 2 turn cooldown. And this is a single target ability. If this was AoE, she would be like ridiculous. Got to get that coffee this morning. And then her A1 actually came in very helpful, okay? She has a 70% chance, which I think I got to 75% chance of placing decreased crit damage. And I placed the decreased crit damage multiple times on the damage dealers. Notably, Mountain King sticks out to me. I was able to lock down Mountain King on Cold Brew's defense, mostly thanks to the stun and this decreased crit damage, because when he did get a turn, then, he had much less damage. So, and the main reason why I wanted to include her in this team was the passive, okay? And I know that sounds crazy, but I needed a way to protect my nuker, because I didn't have a true nuker in this team, okay? My main damage dealer was Alexander, and boy, was I impressed with him, okay? He's not going to be a top-tier damage dealer if you have every champion in the game, okay? But if you don't have every champion in the game, he can do so much damage. It was incredible. He was incredible. I did a lot of videos on him when he first came out, saying how good he was, everybody should use him, blah, 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 blah. And getting to use him in this capacity was really like coming full circle here. So she gets strength and an increased defense, and then Alexander, or the lowest max HP champion, got the ally protection. And funny story, I actually had pretty good stats on Alexander, and I had to raise the HP of Tatora because Tatora was taking the ally protection instead of Alexander, that's crazy to me. But she was absolutely incredible. She's a defense-based champion, so she's got pretty good defense and HP, good base speed. She has base resistance and accuracy. I think all of that is super, super good. And then Alexander here, he has the AoE, but we're only placing this weaken against orcs and Ogren tribes. I did not really need that help against orcs, and I don't think that I placed the weaken against any of the orcs on YST's team. But the decreased defense gets placed after the attack. If they would flip this, just like on Ragash, like, so Polarium, if you want to buff him and you want me to promote this champion more, switch the order of these abilities. Switch the order of these abilities and just make this be, you know, a 50% chance of placing weaken against everyone, and then the 75 chance against Orc and Ogren, okay? I would give it a chance to place weaken also. Oh man, that would make him so much better, okay? This also, I mean, give us flip this. Remove all buffs from the target, attacks one enemy. It would have made him so much better. Flip this, okay? And then it definitely does it with Orcs and Ogren tribes. Okay, give it like some extra damage or something against Orcs and Ogren. Or make it be an AoE against Orcs and Ogren. That would be interesting. Attacks, remove all buffs from the target. Attacks one enemy. If there are Orcs and Ogren, also will attack those champions. Something like that, okay? And then his A1 has a chance to freeze, okay? A1 has a chance to freeze. It has a chance, and then if the chance goes up. And the thing I was most pleased with him about was his damage, okay? He does have the accuracy in all battles aura for the early game players. Base stats, not terrible, not great, but that's where we're at with this team. So let me show you the stats of those champions and talk about what I decided for them, okay? I tested and, you know, worked on Arbiter in Immunity, Arbiter in Stone Skin, but at the end of the day, the decision was to go with Swift Parry. I don't think that this came up literally at all, but we were able to get her to 349 with 400 resistance and a little bit of accuracy, good defensive stats in Swift Parry. So I think it could have come up, but I don't think it did. I think maybe we got one Swift Parry proc throughout the course of the day, and I think she was slept or stunned or something when that happened, so it did not matter at all. We had a reaction accessory on her, because it's like a decent piece, but also because, you know, if for some reason they were to go first, like Scratch's gear is way better than mine, so if he were able to go first, then, you know, we would have a chance to survive with that reaction accessory. Alexander had my best Savage gear on the account. I ended up pulling this chest off my Herndig, not matching the perception set because I couldn't get the right stats in it. We got him to 5,300 attack, 262 crit damage, and some accuracy. And you can see here, he has 46k HP, which is uncommon. I have a lot of just HP percent substats on this gear. 3, the weapon, the shield, the weapon, the helmet, and the boots all had HP percent substats. And so he actually, I might actually put this gear together on the main account with somebody. Probably not the chest, because that, you know, that needs to be paired with a perception set. But everything else worked really well together. Tatura was insanely fast. The goal was to get him to 300 speed, and we actually did that. Also, he needed damage because I knew Alexander was not going to be able to take everybody on his own. So we got Tatora to 300 speed, but we needed damage stats on him also. So I put him in 6-piece speed, divine speed, but I kept the crit stats. Okay. Now we didn't get 100% crit, but I got as close as I could while keeping that speed, okay? So if you're making this type of a build with Tatora, obviously you're not going to do 300 speed, right? And then you can get your 100% crit rate, but 5k defense basically was strong. He was very survivable, okay? And then Andrissia, I did not even know that I had a 6-piece perception set worth using together. I did not know that until I tested this. I had her in Stone Skin. I had a couple different builds, but once we decided we really wanted this speed to be crazy high, I said perception set is maybe the best way to go. Actually, I don't even know if that was my idea. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We got 292 speed and 552 accuracy. And some of these pieces on here are not even that good. They're just okay. But remember, the cool thing about the protection set is that it offers 24% speed. So that's like having 2 speed sets and then a defensive set. Okay, and so that is really, really positive thing. And then we have the chance to have our buffs that are protected. Okay, so I think that I'm going to put this set together as well. I did not have a single champion in a 4 or 6 piece perception set. Not a single one. So there's that. Now, I also want to talk about some of the other team ideas that I had. Okay? I wanted to talk about some other team ideas that I had. This team started out as it was just going to be my defense. I was going to use a different team on offense. That team was going to be my defense, and that's where we were going to be. I thought that I was going to use this team right here, where we had Basilius Rowanus for the AoE stun, Andrissia for the buff strip, and Royal Huntsman for the damage. But when I was testing this team, what I found was I really needed a magic damage dealer. So then I switched over here, right? I was testing Basilius for the AoE stun, and then Alexander for decreased defense and damage, and then Yannicka to finish everybody off. I think if I had chosen either of those teams, I would have lost the majority of my fights. Tatora was too good. He was too good in the team for all his kit combined together. Like, the block debuffs was clutch. The damage was clutch. The veil was clutch. His survivability was clutch. His passive froze people multiple times. Okay? So I don't think that any of these other 3 versions would have gotten me there, but they are options for you. I was absolutely shocked at how good Basilius was. Other than his silly name, this 100% AoE stun is legit. Either you're going to stun them or you're going to decrease their turn meter. And then his A2 ignores defense buffs, shield buffs, and block damage and 50% of the defense. So if you build him as a nuker, which I semi-tried to do, like I kept accuracy, I had some crit rate on there. I don't think he's fully built right now. I was messing around, seeing if I could keep the high accuracy while at the same time putting damage stats on him, and third of all, making him 260 speed or so. I couldn't do all those things. I could not do all those things. Maybe if I had more time, I would have found a better build, but it is what it is. Royal Huntsman, crazy damage dealer. Absolutely crazy. 100% ignore defense. AoE, decreased defense, and it hits really hard. And then, I don't know, his A1's fine. It's whatever. It's not important, okay? But he is a very, very good damage dealer. The only issue was his affinity. I was worried about his affinity for the champions who I thought the other teams were going to be bringing. Deliano was not really a consideration. These were the 4 teams that I was working with. Okay, now let's talk about the rest of the people's teams. Okay, let's come back here to the home screen so it's a little bit cleaner. So for this, I definitely had some really good ideas of what people would be running. Actually, let me a little bit smaller because it's like a little bit cut off here at the bottom. Doesn't want to. Oh, maybe that was just me. I cut it off at the bottom. Okay, well, it is what it is. So we knew that Scratch was going to run Necrit and Rhodos. The other 2 champions were a question mark, okay? We knew that Cold Brew was going to run Tormin, and I predicted these other champions as well. I thought he would have the new guy in there, the new dwarf Goffred, who's very, very good if you got him this weekend. YST, I couldn't really predict who he was going to use, but Sandlash Survivor was an obvious choice, but I didn't know who else he was going to use. Ivy, we thought that she was going to use a cardinal strategy. She did end up doing that. And Smiley kind of surprised us here. I thought that he would use Blind Seer, Foley, Mithrala, but I did not expect the Astrolith. The Astrolith was a great decision. I feel like with all the stone skin, there was a lot of chance to just wreck people. Nub with Knight's Rev. This is not at all the team that I thought was going to occur. Especially the Renegade. I was pretty shocked about the Renegade inclusion there. Let's go take a look at Knight's Rev. I don't know what champions he does or does not have, but I really thought that there was going to be a miscreated monster in there. Or a Rector Drath, or, a Skull Crown. I know that he likes Golden Reaper, so he could have gone with Skull Crown, Golden Reaper as a team. I think the team he ended up with was very, very interesting. However, I think he had everybody in Stone Skin. I don't remember, but you can check the video. It'll be out on Deadwood's site later today, I assume. The new champion Shemnath in that team also has an AoE buff strip. The difference is the multipliers on Shemnath are very good as well. I did a video with all of the new damage dealers, Reges, Shemnath, and Hefrak, all of those guys in the same video. Check that out if you haven't seen it. A lot of people, I guess, did not know that I made that video. I think that, if you had Soulless, that would be a great one to include there. But his team was kind of shocked me. His team kind of shocked me, and I don't think that anyone was prepared to see that as a team. And he had a lot of damage on there. It was definitely a little sketchy trying to beat Gaius for sure. But so for the most part, we predicted the majority of the team's structure. Okay. And the reason why I'm pointing that out as something that's important here is because I planned my team to try to beat these strategies, okay? And when I was building this team, the conclusion that I came to was I didn't think I could beat Cold Brew and Scratch. I did not think I could beat Cold Brew and Scratch. And so I decided, let's beat Cold Brew, and that's why Tatura was in the team, as well as the other teams too, right? Like, Tatura was great against the bomb champions, the decreased defense stuff, all of that stuff, okay? But it was also going to be decent against Scratch. I still had a chance to beat him, right? He ended up using Harvest Jack and Scartorsus, which were pretty annoying, and obviously he has empowered ones here. Necrit felt like cheating in this faction tournament. But Rotos just soloed everybody. Rotos just soloed everybody. It was crazy. It was crazy. So if you have your Rotos, make sure that you're using him. I know I have not been using my Rotos, so I definitely need to start doing that. So, what else stands out to me? I wanted to take my time when I was doing the fights. I felt like it was more important to win than to win quickly, and that proved to be correct. If I would have rushed through the fights, I would definitely would have lost some more. So I'm glad that I had that thought process. Now, also, take a look here. Deadwood surprised us and he put a defense in. I actually ended up losing to Deadwood, which honestly I think was an anomaly. I think most of the time I would beat him, but I didn't get the stun on Basher. The stun, the proc on his turn meter decrease. I don't think I got any of that stuff on Basher, and then Basher put my skills on cooldown. Coronar ended up killing me with some damage, but I think that most of the time I would beat this team that Deadwood put, but it didn't count in the competition. It was just for fun. And then HH and Layla, here were their defenses. So, what questions do you have? What do you think? I ended up in second place. The only person I lost to was Scratch in the competition. And then Cold Brew lost to Hell Hades and Scratch. So Cold Brew had 2 losses. I had 1 loss. Man, it was so close. My defense, which was the same as my offense, I lost to Scratch by like 1 HP on his Rotos. If you go back and watch the footage of the fight, his Rotos barely survives. And if I would have been able to do that, I think I would have got that match. I think I would have still lost to tiebreakers because the tiebreaker was time. So like when you go into arena and you're fighting, you know what I'm saying? Like the time that it would take is the determining factor. And my times were slow. I told you that I wanted to take my time. So if you have enjoyed this summary and my thought process on building the team, there was a lot that went into it. This video ended up being pretty long here, but I felt like all of that was interesting and important to share what was going on. And so since the video is long anyway, let's do a fight here to finish up the video. Shout out to my dude, Farbstoff. Is that who I'm fighting here? The legendary creator of this amazing cool RSL helper. So here I would do block debuffs because Mithral is going to do stuff. Going to try to do nothing and save her abilities. Okay, now we will target Duchess. Look at that damage from Alexander. We'll do an AoE here. If we can decrease the duration of the buffs. And one of the things that was really notable for me was that you see how we survived that hit from Candrafon there? We have increased defense here. And that is really notable. So let's see if we can strip some buffs. Not really successfully. So I don't think that I have enough accuracy on her because she's so fast. But we'll see. Okay, so now we're dead. So you can see, like, I don't think that this is gonna hold up against you know, a real defense. If we had somebody else in here, maybe we'll just go ahead and stun. Okay, if we had you know, a real damage dealer, I think that we could be really successful with this team. Okay, so if this is a strategy that you want to use, I would suggest, unless you're early game, trying to have a better damage dealer than Alexander. You know, he was a great option. Oh, look, we survived. for a second. We survived for a second, and now I think we're gonna die. Okay, but you can see, like, this is a 2-minute fight here, and we are still alive. We're still alive. Now we're dead. Okay, but that gives you an idea of what this team is capable of, because this is a freaking good team. Okay, I think Yang, I think he's faster than me. J Gigs, Deadwood, Murder. I refresh. Oh, I guess we could test against Layla's team. That could be kind of fun. Let's do a run against Layla's team, and then hopefully we can get a win and finish off the video here. So we should be faster here. We are. Then we will do... Actually, do we want to just do this? I think so. Just do this and see if we can kill. We cannot. Let's go ahead and... I don't know if we... Yes. Who's gonna go next? We'll try to stun YuGiOh. And then... Let's see how much damage we can do. Okay, we killed the damage dealer. That's great. We'll do some AoE here. Now we got the block damage, and then after that... Oh, we got the counterattack freeze. Let's go. Okay, let's do block debuffs on a couple of our champions who don't have block buffs. And then what we're going to do is try to remove any buffs that are remaining once we get another turn again. But if you can deal with the damage dealer, then you have a lot less to worry about. So let's go ahead and try to remove this. We got one, but not both. We can kill Lady Kimmy? No. And you can see Tatura taking a beating over here. Kill her, hit auto. And that's all she wrote, guys. What'd you think of this team that I ended up with here in High Elves? I absolutely loved it. There was deep strategy, and I think that it was super, super good. I really enjoyed it. I ended up losing the dragon competition, but in hindsight, I really didn't have a chance. I really didn't have a chance there. So let's go, Goat Nation. Go out and support everybody else in the rest of the competition, and I will see you guys in the next video.